Some interviewers love stirring the pot, but these celebrities weren't playing along, like when comedian Bill Burr absolutely went off on a reporter who pushed him to comment on accused killer Luigi Mangione.
What about your reaction to Luigi Mangione? I was reading up, that perhaps you've been supportive of what he did. What is your take on that?
If you were reading up, I don't think you read up on it. Because I said what I felt about it, and I said what a lot of people said.
Some people took it that way. So could you clarify what you think?
No, I'm not going to just have some controversial moment so you can get clicks. I'm not doing that. What are you going to bring up next? The Middle East? I went to summer school 3 out of 4 years in high school. I'm not qualified to talk about this.
Burr was already irritated, but another journalist kept pressing for his take on hot-button topics, and Burr completely unloaded.
You said about Elon that he was ruining Earth, I saw on The View. You're critical of him. What do you think of all the boycotts, like even the violence
I don't watch the news. I don't watch the news. I have no idea what's going on. And I don't think you should be asking a comedian. You're a journalist.
Comedians are on top of current events.
No. That's weak. That's you guys passing the buck. You guys need to have balls again, which you don't. You guys always goes, should we be thinking this? Duh. You guys present stuff like that. You guys used to have balls. You need to get your balls back. And it's not my job. I am a dancing clown.
But Burr wasn't the only one to take the media head on. Denzel Washington didn't hold back either, calling out the press with a brutally honest reality check.
What do you make of all the fake news that it affects
If you don't read the newspaper, you're uninformed. If you do read it, you're misinformed.
So what do you do?
That's a great question. What is the long-term effect of too much information? One of the effects is the need to be first, not even to be true anymore. So what a responsibility you all have to tell the truth, not just to be first, but to tell the truth. We live in a society now where it's just first. Who cares? Get it out there. We don't care who it hurts. We don't care who we destroy. We don't care if it's true. Just say it, sell it. Anything you practice, you'll get good at, including BS.
Denzel's never been one to let the media twist his words. In this interview, he shuts down a reporter trying to argue with him about racism.
See, it's so easy to just say, oh, it's because of this. It's because of racism. Or I didn't get the job because of that. Maybe you weren't good enough.
But we know for a fact that so many talented African Americans who don't achieve their goals, or they're prevented or deprived from achieving their big dreams because of their skin color. Don't you think it is the problem is the racial discrimination?
The right word is not is, was.
Was.
And that's not the only problem. That's one of the problems. Now, you can make it the only one if you'd like, but it's not the only one. But that's a fact.
You said was. You mean, is it better now? An African American doesn't face these obstacles?
We're sitting in the Four Seasons talking about a movie. We wouldn't be doing this in 1957 unless my name was Poitier. There was only one person then. But yeah, so things are better, no question.
But the interviewer keeps pushing, bringing up racism in Hollywood, and Denzel's not having it.
Now, again, when I talk about Hollywood, do you think those stereotypes, and this is actually Obama pointed out, the stereotypes that have been presented about African Americans in the movies have affected the society's treatment of African Americans?
I'm sure, yeah. Yeah.
And do you feel now things have changed?
Things have been changing. It didn't start this week. I've been in this business 40 years. In the 40 years, things have changed a lot. Things are continually changing for the better.
But when you look now at what's going on outside in the political sphere, and you see the emergence of white supremacists and racists.
You see the emergence? It didn't emerge this year.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is we are regressing in some way. Right. Those guys, we thought we eliminated them,
well, you can't
and suddenly they are
you
back.
You understand this? You can't legislate love. You heard what I just said? You can't legislate love. You can change laws, but you can't legislate people into loving you. That takes time, and it depends upon what's going on in their home. You can change the law, but if you go home and teach your son how to hate every day, doesn't matter what law has been changed. Until you teach your son how to love, then the law is not going to change the way your son feels. That's exactly what happens in our film.
And when the host makes one final attempt to tie Denzel to the system, the actor shuts it down completely.
So what is Hollywood's role in changing that, in
You
ameliorating
know,
the
you
system?
say Hollywood. There's no place called Hollywood.
You are part of Hollywood.
I'm
You're
a part of
the
the
system
human
now.
race. I'm not a part of any system. I'm a human being.
And while Denzel kept his cool, things got a lot more heated with John Cleese when a BBC reporter tried to corner him.
I know that you're particularly interested in talking about cancel culture. I think it's fair to say. I understand, in fact, you're making a documentary about it. What is it about cancel culture that interests you?
Well, it's a relatively new phenomenon, and of course it affects comedians because a lot of us do jokes that the cancel culture people, the woke people, don't think are right or don't think are correct.
But John, you know, some would say that what you're suggesting is that it's an old...
Why do you say but? Why do you say but?
Oh, it was just
Wouldn't
a turn
you like
of phrase.
To just explore what I'm saying?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's precisely
But.
what
Let's try
That's
the but.
precisely what I'm about to do, if you would give me the opportunity to do that. I want to ask you, there are people out there who, having heard your views, would consider them to be old-fashioned and not taking into consideration the feelings of people who have been hurt by some of these comments. And I want to give you the example, for instance, in Britain, where racist behavior, for instance, was couched as a bit of banter. Is that acceptable, in your view, as a joke?
I think it's a very poor question.
Even though it was clear the line of questioning annoyed Cleese, she just kept pushing.
I'd like you to answer it.
Well, it's hard because it's so scattered and it has so many different ideas in it, and I don't know which place to start with to answer it. What I've said is the important thing is that people are protected to the right degree, not overprotected and not underprotected. So the question becomes, what is the right degree?
But the moment she brought up backlash against Dave Chappelle, Cleese had enough. He got up and walked out.
John, I want to ask you about your thoughts on another comedian. I don't know if you know this American comedian, Dave Chappelle, who faced a huge backlash for his comments.
We're back on cancel culture. Yes, I thought we were going to be talking about shows and comedy, but I'm not interested in doing this interview anymore, so I'll leave you now. Bye-bye.
Okay, that's your prerogative.
And speaking of backlash against comedians, Ricky Gervais faced major heat after his unapologetic Golden Globes monologue.
Our next presenter starred in Netflix's Bird Box, a movie where people survive by acting like they don't see a thing. Sort of like working for Harvey Weinstein. You did it. I didn't. You did it. Shut the up.
When asked about the fallout, Gervais didn't flinch. Instead, he dropped a brutally honest take on censorship.
Well, when you go on the Golden Globes, a lot of time you are politically incorrect.
That's the thing about offence, isn't it? When people say they're offended, it's that just because you're offended, it doesn't mean you're right. You know, it's offence is about feelings, and feelings are personal. Some people are offended by equality. So what? You know, so you can't second guess people. If you try and please everyone, you'll please no one. With comedy as well, I think you've got to deal with taboos and contentious issues, and sometimes you deal in irony, and some people don't get that. But you know, you can't legislate against stupidity, otherwise you'll be doing nothing. So if you're saying anything, you should polarize. You should polarize because everyone's different.
But it's not just comedians under fire. Directors get it too. Like when Quentin Tarantino was accused of being sexist for giving Margot Robbie fewer lines than her male co-stars in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Quentin, you have put Margot Robbie, a very talented actress, actor, in your film. This is a person with a great deal of acting talent, and yet you haven't really given her many lines in the movie. And I wondered, I guess that was a deliberate choice on your part, and I just wanted to know why that was, that we don't hear her actually speaking very much.
Well, I just reject your hypotheses.
Later, he addressed it all on Real Time with Bill Maher, calling out Hollywood for pushing agendas over storytelling.
If somebody brings up something that actually is legitimate, I'll even have a conversation with them about it because I'm actually into interesting thought, and I don't have to even agree with you. Oh, but that's an interesting point.
Right.
That's an interesting point. But there has become a thing that's gone on. It seems like in this, especially this last year, where what's the word I'm looking at? Ideology is more important than art.
Way more, certainly to the awards.
Yeah. And it's just, it's like, ideology trumps art. Ideology trumps individual effort. Ideology trumps good. Ideology trumps entertaining.
There's two kinds of movies, virtue signalers and superhero movies.
Yeah.
However, his most intense moment was a full-on face-off with a reporter accusing him of glorifying violence.
Why the need for so much gruesome, graphic violence? Why not let us imagine
because
a little
it's so
of it?
much fun, Jan.
Really?
Get it?
Oh, really? Okay, I'd like to see you walk down the street and get attacked by some kids who've just seen your movie.
But see, Jan, you're all messed up because you're talking about real life.
Oh,
and I'm
I see.
talking
And kids
about
at
the
12,
movies. You got to
kids
get
at
it
12.
straight. Now, if you want to talk about the movies, we'll talk about the movies.
Okay, and
If you
kids
want
at
to talk
12
about real
can
life,
tell
we'll
the
talk about real
difference.
life.
Kids at 12 can tell the difference. You tell their parents that, Quentin.
Hey,
and it was great to talk
I saw
to you,
movies when I was a kid, all right? I saw all the movies that I'm basing my movies on are the movies I saw as a kid. And yes, kids go to a movie theater, they can tell the difference. Maybe you couldn't when you were a kid, but I could.
Okay, honey. We're getting the hook. You're doing well, obviously. You're laughing all the way to the bank. And I know some
I'm
parents
having
would
a
love
great
to talk
time
to you.
making a terrific movie that people are having fun seeing. Maybe not you, but you know what, Jan? I don't think I made it for you.
I bet you didn't, and I'm glad you didn't. I'm just sorry.
Well, don't worry about that, baby.
We'll move on.
Meanwhile, Mike Tyson was just trying to promote a commercial, but an Australian reporter kept accusing him of promoting sexism. Yet Tyson kept his cool at first, casually deflecting.
Does that bother you at all? You've got sort of scantily clad women, the big brave man coming to save the women. Does that worry you, starring in a obviously sexist ad?
No, because it's really all done in fun. And people could look at it being sexist to it, but it's not enough to make a big stink over.
But then she brought up his daughter, and that's when Tyson's patience wore thin.
How do you feel having a daughter in this age of the Harvey Weinstein scandal and then starring in an ad that's a bit sexist? Do you think that's a bit of a worry? Did you sort of think twice about that?
No, didn't think twice about it. Because it wasn't offensive.
So what do you does your daughter talk to you about, the women empowering movement that's been happening this year? What do you discuss it? Because it's pretty big in the news.
Well, my daughter's only 7 years old and she wouldn't be able to comprehend that right away right now.
Although Tyson didn't explode, his frustration showed on his face. And even then, he came back with a calm, powerful response.
What do you sort of, talk to her about, in growing up?
Well, I talked to her basically about discipline and learning to handle disappointments. Because she can't win them all. I have to explain that to her. Anytime you want to be the best at anything in the world, there's always going to be some disappointments. And I'm trying to convey that to her.
Rapper A$AP Rocky had a similar moment. When a reporter tried calling him out over lyrics about women in his songs, he wasn't about to let it slide.
I really enjoy listening to hip-hop music, and there is a downside for me in that a lot of the music is quite crude about women and sometimes insulting. So do you think that your music isolates women and prevents us from listening to your music compared to men?
At times.
At times? And do you think that's okay?
Yeah, because I do it to men too.
You do it too?
It isolates men too. I don't discriminate.
Isolates men?
Yeah, at times. How many songs you hear? I with you. I don't. It's the same thing. You dudes, It's just that we diss men all the time. I don't think it's a point of. What do you want to battle me right now or something? Like you just like wild aggressive.
Do
like
I seem mad?
is that not aggressive?
I do enjoy your music, but I just think that it's
I
I wonder
agree with you.
myself. I'm listening to Tyga and I'm thinking, I really enjoy this music, but should I listen to it if it's rude about women or it's making us seem like objects, should I still listen to it if I don't agree with what they're saying?
Well, that's a question that only you can answer.
Pharrell Williams also got hit with criticism over the lyrics in his song Blurred Lines, especially the line, "I know you want it." But when a reporter tried to corner him on it, Pharrell stood his ground.
Who wrote "I Know You Want It"? Was that you?
Yeah, sure.
That was very criticised by many people who felt it.
It was.
It literally blurred the lines between a woman's right to say no and a man forcing himself.
I don't know where the forcing himself and a woman's right to say no was ever addressed in that song.
I Know You Want It? Isn't that it?
That's a man. Is that a man forcing himself on you? Food. Do you like food?
Yeah.
So when you're hungry and I can tell you're hungry and I say I know you want it, does that mean I'm gonna you?
Well, you know,
don't answer the question. You got to be fair.
That's a clever.
But
a clever way of
I'm
putting
not.
it,
I'm not trying to be. I'm not trying to be. No, it wasn't.
This is a.
The song is about dancing. Dancing.
That's when the reporter doubled down, bringing up the music video. But Pharrell shut it down with a response he never saw coming.
Look, you were standing there with women cavorting around you with no clothes on.
Right.
There was a power dynamic going on there, wasn't there? These women are there to please you.
Oh, they were? Did I touch them sexually?
You don't need to. They were there with their boobs out.
Oh, okay. So let me ask you something. So in a high fashion magazine, when women have their boobs out, is there something sexual there too?
It wasn't a high fashion magazine. It was a music video.
Oh, well, if you ask the director, who's a female, who wrote it, she was inspired by editorials by high fashion magazines where women do have their boobs out. I don't recall me ever making a sexual gesture to any women.
That same reporter went after Robert Downey Jr. too, turning a fun Avengers interview into a political trap. Just watch how fast the mood changes.
What I'd really like to ask you about a quote you gave to the New York Times, and I don't want to pry, so if you don't want to talk about it, that's fine. But what you said to the New York Times once was, it was after your incarceration, and you said, you can't go from a $2,000 a night hotel suite to a penitentiary and understand it and come out a liberal. And I just wondered what you meant by that.
Well, the funny thing is, and I appreciate your point of view, things that you said 5-7 years ago or things you said in an interview that made sense to you at the time, I could pick that apart for 2 hours and be no closer to the truth than I'd be giving you some half-assed answer right now. I couldn't even really tell you what a liberal is. So therein lies the answer to your question.
The statement sort of stands by itself, doesn't it? I mean, does that mean you're not a liberal, or that you came out of prison not being a liberal?
Are we promoting a movie? To me, the thing is that I'm certainly not going to backpedal on anything I've said, but I wouldn't say I'm a Republican or a liberal or a Democrat. I think when I was talking to the person who was doing the interview that day, and that just happened to be my opinion. That's the nice thing, is you can have opinions and they kind of change and flow.
Downey's frustration was obvious, and he didn't hide his contempt either.
I mean, obviously you're doing a promotional round of interviews, and that's why we're talking about the movie, but we also want to talk a little bit about you. I don't know how comfortable you are, talking about yourself.
You have as much time as anyone else will.
Yeah, well, okay, well then let me just ask you a few more questions, and you can answer them if you want to and not if you don't want to. I mean, well, I think we've got 3 more minutes on our agreement.
Your foot's starting to jump a little bit. You better get to your next question.
That's when the reporter crossed a line with a deeply personal question, and RDJ decided he had enough.
The reason I'm asking about the past is that you've talked in other interviews again about your relationship with your father and the role of all of that in the dark periods you entered and taking drugs and drinking and all of that. And I just wondered whether you think you're free of all of that, or whether that's still something...
I'm sorry, I really don't... what are we doing?
Well, I'm just asking questions, that's all. I mean...
Okay. Bye. Thank you, guys.
Are you... Oh, I'm sorry,
Thank you.
Do you...
You seem okay, it's just getting a little dinosaur.
No, look, I don't want to do that.
But Elon Musk wasn't having it either. When a BBC reporter claimed Twitter had become more hateful, Musk pushed back, and the reporter's agenda crumbled under the pressure.
Particularly around hate speech in the company.
What hate speech are you talking about? I mean, you use Twitter.
Right.
Do you see a rise in hate speech?
Personally, for you, I would see I get more of that kind of content. Yeah, personally.
Can you name one example?
I honestly don't use. Honestly, I
you
don't.
Can't name a single example.
I'll tell you why. Because I don't actually use that For You feed anymore. Because I just don't particularly like it.
But you
and
said
actually, a lot of people are quite similar. I only look at
hang on a second.
my
You said you've seen more hateful content, but you can't name a single example. Not even one.
I'm not sure I've used that feed for the last 3 or 4 weeks, and
Well, then how did you see the hateful content?
Anywhere.
You literally said you experienced more hateful content, and then couldn't name a single example.
Right, and as I said,
that's absurd.
I haven't actually looked at that feed.
Then how would you know this hateful content? You just lied.
What? No.